Black people can be racist. Stop lying to yourselves. How to end racism. How would you do it? Stop saying white people cannot experience racism. That would be a start, just a very start, please. People love to say that only white people can be racist, or that only people with race power can be racist. Like, race power is just like something, because racism supposedly is a system, or because racism supposedly equals race power plus prejudice. And so even when a black person goes on and on about white devils being inferior and deserving to die because of their oppressive and genocidal history, and that every white baby should be aborted or something, well, somehow that is still not racist, because sociology. Does anybody actually believe that? I'm asking you, in your heart of hearts, do you seriously believe that? Do you legitimately believe that all of these explanations make it so that the vile, racially motivated, and often violent hatred of white people can be absolved of the label of racism? If you're thinking your answer is yes, I just don't believe you. I think you're lying to yourself and to me. Here's the bottom line. If you want to end racism, you have to end the hatred from both sides. If you are black, you can't expect white people to stop hating you if you actively and openly hate them. Furthermore, for the people who send threats and dox people on the internet, you can't scare people into not being afraid of you. That's not how the world works, and if you are wanting a race war, I'm thinking white people have the numbers and weapons on their side. But of course, nobody should want a race war. Anybody can be racist, and we all know it. And there's so many holes to that sociological definition that make it about structural power. I've literally been hearing this definition for about 20 years or more, and I have studied the hell out of race theory, and even specifically this definition, because it always bothered me so much. And it's never made it into the dictionaries, nor made any sense. Ever. Doesn't that say something? And no, it's not because white men wrote the dictionary, and saying that is a half-baked conspiracy theory. It's nonsense. Every dictionary is updated once a year by a committee, and it doesn't just include white men. And they don't sit around debating about how they can continue to oppress black people with their word definitions. Here's some reasons that the sociological definition is illogical, anyway. First off, if racism was inextricably tied to institutional power and not an abstract concept and emotion, that would mean that a white person could experience racism in Japan, for example, as they are a wealthy nation that is dominated by Asian people. Therefore, if this white person flew to Japan, they could not only just experience racism there, but also be immune to being racist themselves once they're there. It's kind of silly to think that a plane ride could cure something as profound as racism. Secondly, what happens when an Asian person in America is racist against blacks? Do they get to still be racist because they hold somewhat more power than black people, or at least a higher average income than even white people? I imagine that most black people would say that Asian people can be racist, yes, because they have relative privilege or whatever. But how about Native Americans? Native Americans earn less money, get shot by police about as much, if not higher than black people if you really look into the numbers, have a huge likelihood to be homeless, and hold even less political power than black people. So can Native Americans be racist? No. Well, what if they hate black people? That doesn't bother black people? I imagine in most cases it does. And then what about black people who hate other black people who are lighter or darker skinned than them? Is that supposed to just be colorism or something? Fuck off. The mental gymnastics are just embarrassing. Don't play this game. Third, there are no linguistic properties within the word that could possibly link it to anything besides a personal feeling. It's just racism, not structural powerism. Fourth, a lot of people say that race was an invention of the white man, so none of this would matter anyway without the white man's racism or whatever. But that's just bullshit on so many levels if you actually study human history. Any group of people that look similar will be wary of another group. It didn't take Whitey to come up with that shit. I could go on with the logical fallacies of the fake sociological definition of racism for a while, but I'll cut ahead to why we should abandon it. When a person excuses hatred, it breeds more hatred. When somebody says that a black person cannot be racist, all it does is excuse their racist, bigoted behavior to a small but certain degree. Sure, that's not what the sociologists would claim was their intention when they wrote this fake definition. But what was their intention? To point out that it is different when a black person is racist than it is when a white person is racist? Because I don't think somebody with a fancy degree needed to point that out. We know it's different. I'll reenact an imaginary exchange here between a sociologist who is telling a student this fake definition for the first time. So because your skin color doesn't hold institutional power, you cannot be racist. Wow, I never thought of it that way. And I know tons of racist black people. But you see, they aren't racist, because they can't be. Oh yeah, I already forgot. So what are they? Well, they're racially prejudiced, or maybe bigots. Oh, okay. Well, isn't being a bigot like a bad thing? Well, yes, I would say it's bad to be a bigot. But it's not really as bad as being racist. I'm not sure what you're getting at. I just mean that being a white racist is about like the worst thing that you can be. And like, since we all have racial prejudices, like you said earlier, every white person is racist. Yes, to a certain degree, but that doesn't mean you should hate white people. I know. But if I do, it still won't be racist, right? I mean, you're basically telling me that it doesn't really matter so much if I do hate them because they kind of deserve to be hated. Is that what you mean? Okay, I have papers to grade. So this is what I think. This entire idea is idiotic, and it was always idiotic. And it needs to be done away with so we can heal and move on. And I don't even want to dig up a comment thread from some idiot YouTube blogger that propels this idea just so I can show everybody the type of racist black people who leave comments in this. Because, like, they're terrible. Please take my word for it that they are ugly and racist and disgusting, and you can find them for yourself. If you ever tell somebody that they cannot be racist because their skin color doesn't hold institutional power, that's not what you will really be telling them. What you will really be telling them subconsciously is that if they are racist, you don't care. And I want to believe that you do care, no matter who you are. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments.